My wife ended up pregnant even though I'm medically infertile. When I asked her how that was possible, she snapped back, "If you had any real faith, you wouldn't doubt God's blessings, so I exposed her and ruined her life." Sup, Reddit. So my wife got sick Christmas Eve night. I took her to urgent care the next morning, thinking she'd caught some bad bug or maybe food poisoning. The nurse walked back in with a huge smile, like we just won a prize, and said, "Congratulations." She told us my wife was pregnant except I'm medically infertile. That's when everything started to fall apart. For context, I'm 31M, married to Mallory, 30F, for 5 years. And honestly, they were good years. I really thought I'd lucked out when I married her. We met at church. She worked with the kids' ministry and I helped with the men's group, typical church couple stuff. We married young, 26 and 25. People said we were rushing it, but it felt right. About a year in, when we were trying for a baby with no success, we got checked. My results came back, infertile, not totally impossible, just extremely unlikely without help. She told me she loved me anyway, that kids weren't everything, that God had a plan. I believed her. She was my wife, why wouldn't I? Fast forward to Christmas week. We were supposed to drive 2 hours to her parents' place like we always did. Her dad is this old-school, strict Christian guy, former Marine, quotes scripture like it's punctuation. Her mom is sweet but basically lets him run the house. The plan was simple. Leave Friday, spend the weekend, come back Sunday after church. But on Thursday night, she curled up on the couch looking awful. "I think I caught a stomach bug," she said. I suggested getting her checked out. She refused, said she wasn't missing Christmas, especially not for something minor. But by Friday morning, she could barely stand without holding the wall. I didn't give her a choice. We're going to the hospital. I told her. She tried to argue, but she was too sick. We waited an hour at urgent care before they called me back. She was sitting there pale but awake. The nurse beamed at us. "Congratulations, you're going to be a dad." I just stared. "What? No, that's not possible. We can't have kids. I'm infertile." The nurse hesitated but repeated the test was positive, then left the room. My wife whispered, "We're pregnant." Like it was some holy revelation. I wasn't thinking about miracles. I was thinking about numbers, timelines, biology, and none of it lined up. We skipped the trip to her parents. I drove home without saying a word. Every time she tried to talk, I shut it down. I needed to think. Once we were home, I got her settled and finally asked the question hanging in the air. "How are you pregnant when I can't have kids?" She looked at me with these wide, innocent eyes. "It's a miracle," she said. I laughed, this ugly, bitter laugh I didn't recognize coming from myself. "A miracle?" "Really, yes, God answered our prayers. After all this time, He blessed us." "Mallory, I'm infertile. Doctors don't know everything," she insisted. "God can do anything. This is our miracle baby." She said it like she genuinely believed it or wanted me to. "So what?" I asked. "You're telling me you're the new Virgin Mary?" Her face twitched, guilt, fear, something. Then she snapped back into righteous outrage. "How dare you mock what God has done? I haven't been with anyone else." "I'm your wife." Then came the tears, full dramatic breakdown. "We'll talk later," I told her. She nodded, thinking I was warming up to the idea, but I wasn't. Here's the thing, I'm a religious guy. I do believe in miracles. I believe God can do impossible things. But faith doesn't mean turning your brain off. Faith doesn't mean accepting something that makes zero logical sense. And the truth was obvious. My wife was lying to me. I needed to figure out who she'd been lying with. That was the missing piece. That night, after she went to bed early claiming she was exhausted, I sat in the living room thinking through my next steps. My first impulse was to blow up, yell, demand answers, break things. But that's exactly what she'd expect from me. That's what she'd be ready for. Staying calm was better. Quiet. Controlled, let her believe I was accepting the miracle baby story while I collected proof. She wanted to play dirty? Fine. I could play too, and when I finally made my move, she wouldn't see it coming. She slept like a rock that night. Pregnancy, hormones, guilt, or both, which gave me time to work. Her phone was charging on the nightstand. No password. She'd never used one because we trusted each other. I picked it up and started going through it. Texts first, mostly boring stuff. Her mom, her sister, friends from church, group chat nonsense about potlucks and Christmas. Nothing out of place. Then I checked her social media messages. Instagram, Facebook Messenger, all of it. That's where everything fell apart. There was a chat with someone saved under church office cute disguise. If I'd seen that name before, I wouldn't have questioned it. But these were definitely not office messages. I scrolled to the top and read from the beginning. It stretched back months, light flirting at first, then more explicit. Plans to meet up. Complaints about their lives. And then messages about me. Can't believe he actually believed the miracle baby story, told him it was a blessing, and he nodded like always. He's way more trusting than I expected. What'd he say? He looked confused for like 2 seconds. Then I cried about faith and miracles. Boom. Done. Each line hit me like ice water. This wasn't some emotional slip-up. This was organized, rehearsed, intentional. They mocked me in the messages like I was some clueless joke they shared between their secret hookups. Then I found one from 3 days earlier. Can't wait to see you Friday. Same spot. Her reply, yeah, he's at work until 5. We'll have plenty of time. Friday. Which was technically yesterday since it was past midnight. I kept scrolling, searching for a name. They were smart, never used names. But then I found something worse, a photo she'd sent him, in our bedroom. Wearing lingerie I'd never seen before. Bought this for you. What do you think? His reply was just flame emojis, and you're killing me. I saved screenshots of everything. Emailed them to myself. Saved the pictures too. I wanted airtight evidence before doing anything. Then I found the message that sealed it. Meet me tomorrow at 2 p.m. usual place. We need to talk about what happens if he finds out, and her response, he won't. And if he does, I'll handle it. Worst case, we tell him it's a miracle baby. He's religious enough to maybe buy it. And if he doesn't, we stick to the plan. I file for divorce, claim he was controlling or abusive or something. My dad will back me up. His family adores me. He'll look like the bad guy either way. There it was. The whole plan spelled out get pregnant. Gaslight me. And if I didn't swallow the story, ruin my reputation and take half my stuff, except she forgot something big. We had a prenup. My dad pushed for it before marriage. She agreed quickly. Now I knew why. She thought she had me wrapped around her finger and I'd never enforce it. She miscalculated, but I still needed one more thing. The guy, who was he? The messages referenced a meeting place but never named it. So I scrolled further back. 3 months earlier, use the park anymore. Too many church people walk there. Let's switch to the coffee shop on 5th. There were only 2 coffee shops on 5th Street. One was a busy chain. The other was a quiet little independent place with a back parking lot. Then I saw this replay. Same place. 3:00 p.m. perfect. I'll park behind the building like usual. The chain store didn't have a rear lot. The local shop did, so that was their spot. I put her phone back exactly where it had been and slept in the guest room. I couldn't lay next to her, couldn't even look at her without wanting to lose it, but I didn't lose it. I stayed calm and kept planning. They thought I was gullible. They thought I'd never dig deeper. They were about to find out how wrong they were. Monday morning, I called in sick and left the house like normal. She thought I was on my way to work. I parked 3 blocks away from the coffee shop and walked. Got there at 1:45 p.m., ordered a drink, and sat near the window with a clear view of the back lot. I wore a hat and sunglasses, not because I thought they'd spot me, but to be safe. At exactly 2:00 p.m., her car pulled into the lot. She got out, scanned the area nervously, and walked in through the back door. 5 minutes later, another car pulled and I didn't recognize the car at first, but when the driver stepped out, my whole brain just froze. It was Pastor Gideon, our pastor. The man who married us 5 years ago, who walked us through the infertility diagnosis, who prayed over us about having a family someday. The man everyone adored with his gentle smile and fatherly vibe, and he was meeting my pregnant wife at a coffee shop. I took out my phone, immediately snapped photos of him walking in, his car, his plates, everything. They stayed inside for around 45 minutes. I watched from my table, couldn't hear anything, but I saw enough. The way he brushed her hand, the way she leaned in toward him, the way they exchanged that look when they left separately. She walked out first, he followed about 10 minutes later. That was all the confirmation I needed. I sat in my car afterward, letting it all settle in my wife and my pastor. The hypocrisy was almost impressive. All those sermons about purity, honesty, faithfulness, all those prayers he'd said with us about God's timing, and the whole time he was sleeping with her. I wanted to drive straight to his house and knock his teeth out. But that would be emotional and stupid. I needed to be smarter than them. So I drove to a lawyer instead. I showed him everything, the texts, the screenshots, the photos, the prenup, the pregnancy miracle lie. He ran a hand over his face and said, "This might be the worst cheating case I've ever seen, and trust me, I've seen some disasters." We went through everything for almost 2 hours. The prenup was airtight. What I owned stayed mine, what she owned stayed hers, and no alimony for either side. Since we didn't have kids together, she had no claim to anything substantial. And the baby? Not legally mine, so I could request a paternity test. When that came back negative, I'd owe nothing. My lawyer gave me a sharp smile. She's about to lose every advantage she thought she had. Good. I signed the divorce paperwork right there. He filed it immediately. By the time I drove home, she'd be served within a day or two. I got back at my usual time, 5:30 p.m. She was in the kitchen making dinner, humming like she didn't have a care in the world. Probably daydreaming about her pastor boyfriend. Hey, babe, she said cheerfully. How was work? Eye-opening, I said. She didn't even catch the tone. Just kept chopping vegetables. I pulled out my phone. Hey, Mallory, mind explaining this? I showed her the photo, her and Gideon through the coffee shop window, his hand on hers. Her face went paper white. That's not what it looks like, she stammered. Really? Because it looks exactly like you and Pastor Gideon having a cozy little date. You know, the same pastor you've been messaging for months. The same guy who got you pregnant with your miracle baby. She put the knife down slowly. You went through my phone? Yeah. And I found a lot. Want to hear my favorite part? Where you called me pathetic and gullible. Or maybe the part where you planned to accuse me of being abusive if I ever caught you cheating. I can explain. Don't bother. I cut her off. I filed for divorce today. You'll get served tomorrow or the day after. Prenup is in full effect. You walk away with nothing. And that baby? We're doing a paternity test the second it's born. Once it proves it's not mine, you're not getting a dime. She looked like I'd punched her. Then came the tears. Please, she whispered. We can fix this. It was a mistake. I love you. Start packing. You're leaving. You can't kick me out. This is my house too, actually, I said calmly. Check the deed. I bought this place before we married. Prenup says it stays mine. So yes, I can kick you out. You've got 1 hour. She instantly snapped from crying to screeching. Called me heartless, evil, said I was abandoning a pregnant woman and God would punish me. God's not punishing me, I replied. He's giving me clarity. You and Gideon can go play pretend somewhere else. Not here. You're a monster, she shouted. Everyone will hear about this. I'll tell people you forced me out. My father will make you regret this. Tell him, I said. I've got receipts for everything. Photos, messages, every lie. You want to play victim. I'll show everyone exactly what really happened. She grabbed a plate and threw it at me. I ducked. It exploded against the wall. Nice, I said. 55 minutes left. She stormed upstairs, slamming drawers. I started boxing up the stuff she kept scattered around: her books, her decorations, her little angel figurines she bought at church sales. About 45 minutes later, she reappeared with 2 suitcases. Mascara smeared, hair a disaster. You're going to regret this, she hissed. The only thing I regret is marrying you. She dragged her bags out, jumped in her car, and tore out of the driveway so fast the tires squealed. I locked the door, sat down in the quiet, and breathed for what felt like the first time all day. My phone buzzed. A text from her. This isn't over. That baby is yours. You'll pay for abandoning us. I replied, get a paternity test. Prove it. She didn't respond. Good Saturday morning at 9 a.m., her father showed up, storming out of his truck like he was ready for war. I was sitting on the porch drinking coffee when he screeched into the driveway. I stayed sitting while her dad stormed up the walkway, shouting before he even reached the steps. You kicked my pregnant daughter out of her home. He jabbed a finger in my face, calling me a coward. The kind whose wife cheated on him with the pastor, I said. That stopped him cold. His face went purple. That's a lie, is it? Come inside and see. He followed me in, breathing hard, crowding me like he was 1 second from swinging. I pulled up the screenshots and turned the laptop toward him. He read everything: texts, photos, dates. 10 minutes of watching his anger drain into disgust. That's Pastor Gideon, he said quietly. Yep, and my daughter's been with him for at least 6 months. The baby isn't mine. I'm medically infertile. He sank onto the couch like his legs gave out. She told me you threw her out for no reason, that you were controlling. She lied. To everyone. After a minute he stood, jaw tight. I need to go, and I'm sorry for coming at you like that. He left slowly, like a man walking into something he wished he could avoid. 2 hours later, my phone exploded. Mallory screaming. You're a monster. You showed my dad. He disowned me because of your lies. They're screenshots. Your own words. You twisted everything. You literally said you bought lingerie for another man. She cried, blamed me for ruining her life, said her father wouldn't look at her. You did that yourself, I told her. My dad said I'm not welcome at Christmas, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I hate you. Cool. Sign the divorce papers. I blocked her, but I wasn't finished. Gideon had used his position to seduce a married woman, lied to the church, and preached about integrity while doing the opposite. That couldn't just slide. Saturday night, I emailed the church board everything. No commentary, just evidence. Sunday morning, I sat in their meeting and laid out the truth. The room went silent as they looked through the proof. Faces went pale. One elder whispered, "This can't be real." It is. Check the metadata, the phone records, and she's pregnant. I added. A female elder walked in, saw the photos, and got furious. At me, "You're destroying a man's reputation. Where's your forgiveness?" I looked at her. "You called a divorced woman a homewrecker last year, but now the pastor gets grace." She flushed. "That was different how? My wife slept with your pastor in hotels and in the church parking lot while he preached about marriage. Don't talk to me about grace." One of the younger elders finally spoke up with respect. "He's right. This isn't about forgiveness. It's about accountability. Pastor Gideon used his position to justify an affair. That's manipulation and abuse of authority." The woman defending Gideon glared at him. "You're taking his side over our pastor. I'm taking the side of the truth." The evidence is right there. Realizing no one supported her, she stormed out. I looked at the remaining elders. "I'm not here for revenge. People deserve to know who they're following. If you want to keep a liar in the pulpit, that's on you. But I'm not staying silent." The older woman finally said they needed to confront Gideon. "Do what you need to do. I've said my piece. I didn't stick around for the fallout." They called Gideon in that afternoon. By Monday, the board voted 10-2 to fire him. Only 2 elders, including the woman who defended him, voted to keep him. His life fell apart fast. The evidence spread through the church community and more affairs came to light. Mallory hadn't been the first, just the one who got caught. Gideon lost everything: his job, reputation, family, and any chance at another church. Last I heard, he was working retail and living in a tiny studio. The church recovered. They hired an interim pastor and addressed everything openly. Attendance actually went up afterward. People respected real accountability. The woman who defended Gideon eventually left for another church. Meanwhile, Mallory tried reaching me through friends, new numbers, emails, always begging for a chance, insisting the baby was mine. I ignored her and let my lawyer handle it. In court, Judge Morrison read the paternity results. There is no biological relationship between Mr. Thompson and the child. Her lawyer tried to request another test. The judge shut it down immediately. Unless you have proof of tampering, the results stand. The prenuptial agreement was upheld. No support. Divorce granted. Mallory broke down, claiming she loved me and that the tests could be wrong. The judge wasn't buying it. "You had an affair and became pregnant by another man. You received nothing." Gavel down. It was over outside. My lawyer shook my hand. "Clean sweep. You're free." A few minutes later, Mallory came out with her sister, screaming that God would punish me. "God's not punishing me," I said. "He's setting me free." Her sister dragged her away. I went home, sat in my car, and finally breathed. The truth was out. Gideon and Mallory had destroyed themselves, and I had my life back. 6 months later, everything was different. I'd switched to a smaller, genuine church across town, real faith, real people. I volunteered during services and at community events. It felt good to belong again. That's where I met Delaney. Quiet, kind, divorced too, with her own story of betrayal and rebuilding. We met during a food drive, started talking, connected easily. We'd been seeing each other for 2 months, slow, steady, intentional. No drama. That Saturday, she was coming over for dinner. I'd learned to cook in the past 6 months. Turns out when you're not drowning in someone else's chaos, you have time to grow. I was prepping dinner when the doorbell rang. Weird, Delaney wasn't due for another hour. I opened the door. Mallory, she looked rough, thin, tired, eyes red. "I just need 5 minutes," she said. Against my better judgment, I let her in. She looked around at the house I'd redesigned without her. "I lost the baby 6 months ago. Miscarriage." I stayed quiet. I was alone. Gideon abandoned me. My family won't talk to me. But I realized it was a sign from God. "We can fix our marriage now." "Start over." I stared at her. "You can't be serious." She insisted the first 5 years were real, that we could get them back. I told her time was up and she needed to leave. She grabbed my arm. "I have nothing left. You're all I have." Her grip tightened. "You owe me. One mistake doesn't erase 5 faithful years. One mistake. You got pregnant by another man while we were married," I said. "That's not a mistake, it's a choice. Now leave right then." The doorbell rang again. I opened it. Delaney stood there with a bottle of grape juice. She saw Mallory and hesitated. "Should I come back?" "No, come in." Mallory was just leaving. Mallory's eyes went wild. "Who is she?" "My girlfriend." Her expression twisted into pure rage. She stepped toward Delaney. "You home-wrecking witch. God will punish you." "Mallory," I said calmly, "leave." "Now," she refused. "You can't throw me away. God brought me here, yeah, to show me I made the right decision." She advanced on Delaney, fists clenched. I stepped between them. "Back off. Get out before I call the cops." She screamed it was her house, that I couldn't kick her out. Then she lunged at Delaney. I grabbed her shoulders as she clawed at me, screaming threats, promising to destroy everything. Delaney backed into a corner with her phone. Call 911, I told her, that sent Mallory into full meltdown. She swung wildly, elbowed me in the jaw, kicked, screamed about God's wrath. The cops arrived 8 minutes later. They took statements and escorted her off my property. Delaney left soon after, too much chaos for a fourth date. I didn't blame her. Monday morning, I filed for a restraining order. It was granted the same day. She had to stay 500 feet away from me, my home, and my job. She violated it twice in the first week, showed up at my office, sent 37 texts from a burner phone. At the hearing, she came without a lawyer, insisting God wanted us together and Delaney was sent by the devil. The judge extended the order for 3 years. On her way out, she screamed that I'd never be happy, that karma would get me, that God would punish me. I just nodded to the bailiff and walked out. Some bridges don't burn, they disintegrate. And honestly, I was fine with that.